your service on the battlefield and beyond. Read Bravo.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Liam Cogan. This is the 3 Bravo podcast, and today I am going to be doing a VBB Newsweek. So that's a Veterans Benefits Breakdown Newsweek, where I'm just going to go into what's going on with the VA and some of the military news at large. Not too in-depth and really like veterans benefits focused, but sometimes these things kind of bleed into each other, especially during administration changes like we're seeing right now. And I'd like to weigh in and give my 2 cents before everybody starts losing their minds. It generally happens. People are resistant to change. So we're going to go immediately. On that note, we're going to go immediately into what is going on at the policy level. Things are changing rapidly every day. You know, you're nixing some programs, bringing them back. Everyone thinks they're attacking veterans specifically. Let's see what that kind of looks like. So in policy and legislative updates, we have the VA is halting $2 billion in cuts. So the VA paused contract reductions after concerns arose about the impacts on veterans. So a lot of these policies or these contracts, people are generally concerned that with these budget cuts, we are going to be losing access to benefits or care. And one thing that you can verify if you'd like on your own, there have been very few, if any, and anecdotal single case like evidence of your benefits being cut. Like single case does not paint the picture. This is the VA is a big organization covering a lot of people. We're talking about 21 million people actively receiving benefits. So you have to look at the broad scope of that. If you have one singular person saying like, oh, I called the veteran suicide hotline and I couldn't get a hold of anybody, that may not have anything to do with what's going on right now. I have not seen substantial anecdotal evidence saying that anything has happened to people's like the crisis hotline, VA benefits care as it pertains to medical, GI Bill, anything. I have not seen a pause yet. If you've seen one, please DM me, send me a message in the comments, flame me in the comments if you must. But really, when we're looking at a lot of these changes, it's just happening fast. And I'll say that for sure. So as we see a $2 billion halt in cuts, it's kind of just a reassessment. Like we cut out a lot of wanton waste. Now we've got to, really, when you look at it, it's like you get a new CEO in your company and they come in super hard and they're like, we're cutting everything. People are upset. And then from there, you start dialing back. You get, real motivation out of those moments. And you have a lot of people coming to you with, okay, we cannot get rid of this. We can't stop this. So you're kind of seeing that now with halts and some of these cuts. People worried about, the impacts on cancer care, toxic exposure, toxic exposure assessments. People just want more transparency in what's being cut and what's going on. Unfortunately, with any business, when you make cuts or changes, you're not going to see real results. You're not going to see like quantifiable results until a quarter or 2 quarters after, because things have to either build up or, clogs break away. You're just not going to really know what's going on. So with that, I want to bring something to everyone's awareness. We talk about a lot of these issues as though they're partisan, like, this is, now the left is really representing veterans because they just want to get back at Trump. And the right is saying Trump is really right. And veterans are complaining. It's all just, don't rely on these political deities to tell you how to feel. Okay. Like the left and the right are both wrong. Those people just want the other side to fail. There's 2 parties. There's 2 parties that are constantly in conflict. Build your moral high ground around the things that matter to you. Veterans matter to me. And our nation's public lands matter to me. So that's kind of where I build my opinions. And with the veteran community, we do have something that you can look to that's bipartisan in D.C., in the Lion's Den. It is called the 4 Country Caucus. A caucus is just a group of Congress people that come together and have a goal, right? And that caucus is bipartisan, being represented and led by the left and the right in their highest positions within that caucus. And they are continuing to this day to help bridge the divide over some of these issues. And they're championing veterans and military support and rights over everything. So do know that that is happening, and try to be like that, like just take the political stuff out of the way and think about veterans at large. I personally have not seen a lot of humongous issues coming from this. And I know a lot of people are talking about veterans are losing jobs from the VA from these cuts disproportionately. I would like to see those numbers. And if they're losing jobs disproportionately, perhaps they were hired disproportionately at some part, in the past, at some time in the past. And something to really pay attention to here, and I'm going to say this at the end of the show to kind of wrap things up, but know this, okay? You signed the dotted line, or your spouse signed the dotted line, or whoever signed the dotted line to be a part of the military, to sign their life away if need be. Not for the benefits, okay? For the service to your country. And as your country changes, because your people elect different people, you have to just kind of move with that. Now, talk to your congressperson, talk to your senator, make your opinion known, but this is what we voted for. Things are changing. We haven't seen any caustic changes, but one thing you should know is when you sign that dotted line, you aren't signing up for I get job security. You were signing up for the job. And what you get as a benefit is not job security, you don't get to keep a job forever, but your benefits actually help you find a job. They help you get a job. They don't help you retain a job. Please remember that. You don't get help, or you don't get like a mandatory retention of your job. You get help finding a job. That's what all of our benefits are really tailor-made around. It was, built in the late 40s after World War II. They wanted to make sure guys could come back from war and find work. So moving on to our economic and financial updates. So one thing I wanted to go over is the 12 extra months of school. So you've probably, God bless, have I seen a lot of things on LinkedIn with 1,000 reposts and 8 billion likes that don't really hit the correct wave tops for people to understand what's going on. So if you're looking at this extension of the GI Bill benefit, and you're thinking, oh, wow, that's really great, and you're just liking and reposting because you support that, that's great. If you actually want to know what's going on, let me tell you. So this 12 months more is all founded in the predisposition that we're all in, is that we get 36 months. If you're entitled to the GI Bill, you get 36 months. So as a veteran, with that 36-month GI Bill post 9/11, okay, so that's anyone who joined enlisted after September 10th, you have access to the post 9/11 GI Bill. You get 36 months of education. If you want to learn a little bit about that, I have a podcast episode on it. Those that are eligible for an extra 12 months have to have served 2 periods of eligibility where they were eligible for the Montgomery, which if you served in the post 9/11, you were, and the post 9/11 era. So you're eligible for both, and you served for 2 periods of enlistment. You may be eligible for an extra 12 months. That's it. If you don't have 2 periods of eligibility, you do not have access to 12 more months. Now, all of this is also on the supposition that you waived your Montgomery bill. So you waived your Montgomery bill to use the post 9/11 GI Bill, which was better. So if you got in and got the Montgomery, and then you got out, and then you got back in, and you got the post 9/11, and then you waived your Montgomery because you wanted the post 9/11, this applies to you. You're the person this matters for. If it doesn't apply to you, you don't match those 2 things, beat it. Don't even listen. If it does apply to you, You have additional allotted PGIB benefits. They can be transferred the same as normal PGIB if you want to use them like for a dependent, all that kind of stuff. Okay, but you have to have had 10 years of service. So all the same rules apply, but you just get more. And if you just got access to that 12 months of PGIB and you haven't listened to my podcast episode on what to do with that, you should make sure that you don't have access to VRE, or if you have access to VRE, use that first, then use your Montgomery. And if you're in Texas, use the Hazelwood Act last. So moving outside of that, I just kind of wanted to kind of clear the air. A lot of people are talking about it and not using clear enough verbiage. If you did one term of service, it does not apply to you. You do not need to care or pay attention. So in healthcare and wellness, the VA healthcare debate about privatizing healthcare, and a lot of people got worried about this when Pete Hegseth was on his way in as the Secretary of Defense. People were worried that, he was talking about privatizing VA healthcare. They're worried about healthcare changing, access versus efficiency. When you have a government program, there's easier access because it's a government-funded program. It's everywhere. But it's less efficient because the government is less efficient at everything. So looking at the change, what could change, you just don't know. And it can always change back in the next administration. We've seen this with back-to-back administrations where both of them signed an ungodly amount of executive orders to reverse everything the person before them did, which is now going to become the standard operating procedure, unfortunately. The privatization of VA healthcare may be a good thing. I'm not going to weigh in on it other than in the capacity that Canada loves to flout their free healthcare. However, look up any video or any, article written about people who live outside of general mega hubs of service centers. They're not getting care. They're signing up for care and they're not getting it for 4 years. So there are pros and cons to privatization versus non-privatization. I mean, one of the cons is that right now we're living in a pharmaceutically driven economy. Which has changed the way we eat food and all that stuff. And if you think it's a conspiracy, I think you're dumb. But aside from all that, I would just say wait, see how things go. Okay. People will talk shit on the healthcare in America, and I don't know. I mean, as a veteran or as just a regular person, everything I've seen of healthcare has been pretty outstanding compared to other countries. Also in healthcare, the end of gender-affirming care in the VA. So if you are looking for gender-affirming care from the VA is halting hormone therapies and other gender-related treatments that goes along with surgeries. My personal opinion is I don't think the VA should be paying for your hormone therapy if they won't support TBIs, PTSD, and people with, non-elective hormone issues who need testosterone therapy. If they're not going to support that readily, which they will, but you have to have outstandingly bizarre numbers that don't co-align with the current understanding of what people need in the civilian sector. If that's not even covered, I don't understand why we would be supporting other things. That's a personal opinion, but really, as the VA is slimming down, some of these niche things are just going to go away, and then they can come back. Vote for your president. That's really all that comes down. that there's all there is to it. So in military defense and employment consideration news, you're looking at a lot of the same, right? People are freaking out about LGBTQ plus rights in the military after Executive Order 14183 was signed into law, which mandates the exclusion of transgender service members from the military. There's been a lot of backlash. The DoD memo that says service members with gender dysphoria will be separated comes with a lot of backlash. Navy and Marine Corps, giving the transgender personnel a voluntary separation by March 28th, 2025 comes with a lot of backlash. Army, no more transgender enlistments or transition services, comes with a lot of backlash. Here's my 2 cents. You're talking about a very niche group of people. So all in all, I don't think it deserves like this insane amount of attention from everybody. Very, very niche group of people. You know, the military is already the 1% of the population. So as we look at this issue, no, I don't think you should be receiving gender affirming care in the military for two reasons. One, you shouldn't be receiving what could be seen as, and what very likely is, hormonally complicating procedures, right? If your body naturally produces more testosterone because you have a certain set of chromosomes, you shouldn't be messing with that in order to transition while you're in the military, while you're being given a gun as your profession, while you're being told to hold yourself to a particular standard. I just don't think it's necessary. I don't see why it's like this. It's always a competition for people to say, like, we really want a woman in the SEAL teams. We really want transgender people in the military. Here's a question. Why not try it in professional football first? You know, like let's try it in a game first. And if it doesn't work in a game, right, that's like playing make-believe war, why do it in the real war room where there is real war and people die when you make mistakes? And then, you know, looking at like legitimate surgeries, you shouldn't be able to take an elective surgery while you're in the military that will put you down for an extended period of time and potentially remove your combat effectiveness. It's not the point, right? Just remember, like, the statement and the ethos of what the military is and its purpose that it's desired, like that we've fashioned it to serve, and ask yourself every single time, does that serve the purpose? No, then don't do it. Like, expanding this, does that serve the purpose? No, don't do it. Now, when you're talking about things like haircuts and shaves, does that serve the function and purpose? Potentially. You can make a reason for it. You can say haircuts and shaves are motivational tools, or they're how we keep the regiment in line, this, that, and the other. You have to explain it. You have to explain why. But you cannot explain away why one of your soldiers in a platoon getting a gender-affirming transition is amplifying force readiness. It isn't. It's some in individual's elective surgery procedure. I'm not going to harp on it any more than that. It's just that's the state of affairs. Right now, they're just saying that doesn't work. And if you don't like that, get out and vote next election cycle, and they'll flip it again. Because apparently the military is where we have to do all of our experimenting socially. So, kind of in summary, not a whole lot of news to pass on. There are some niche bills getting passed around. They're shaking the tree in some big ways. But we're not going to really see how things change for a long time. This is what I said last 2 weeks ago, and it's what I'm going to like. I'm going to kind of maintain this hard line: is that yes, you can be upset that veterans are losing their jobs, and you can be upset that things are changing in the VA, and you're worried about things, you know, actually precipitating into a loss of benefit or care. But right now, that's not happening. It really does seem like they're just getting rid of wanton waste in the VA. And until I see like a quantifiable result or something that will, without question, end in a quantifiably in a quantifiable change in the VA system, that's when I'll really, you know, get up in arms. But as it stands, no, I don't see them eliminating positions. I mean, many presidencies have seen wanton waste and gotten rid of tons of government positions. It was what the government does. The government wastes money. I mean, if you went through your whole military career and didn't end up meeting some GS whatever that was a total slob and a waste of space, you just weren't in long enough. Just remember that your benefits protect your right to get a job. They elevate you to get a job. We want to get you a job. They do not secure your job in perpetuity forever. I'm Liam Kogan. This is the 3 Bravo podcast. This was a Veterans Benefits Breakdown Newsweek. Talk to y'all later.